As parents, teachers, and administrators, we all have a responsibility to prepare our learners for an exciting but challenging future. We do this by promoting educational social opportunities and point our children to pathways that they can choose to go on to higher education or look for other ways to enter the workforce through those opportunities. While we do everything that we can to prepare our learners for the future, it's often the case that some of our learners deal with adversity better than others. We're going to look at that question, but before we do, I want to share a personal story or a story I know about a young man who had to face certain adversity and managed to overcome it. This young man had set up a business working on vehicles, customizing vehicles, and had a wonderful time. Had a wonderful clientele, high-end clients, was building up his business. And when COVID recently hit, he started to run into difficulty. But even before COVID had hit, there were issues with quality control. With high-end clients, they have a certain expectation. He was getting into a challenge, and he was always looking for ways to look at new product and new opportunities. But when COVID hit and the supply chain issues really manifested itself, and even more recently, he realized that he was not going to be able to satisfy his clients in the way he had done before. So he started looking at options. And his options were to go and expand massively and perhaps look at lowering his standards and working with a different clientele or looking at different supply chain opportunities. Well, neither one was really working, and so he realized that he needed to do something different. While this was happening, he decided that he wanted to get married, and his fiance was living in another region of the country, and he realized that in order to be close to her, he was going to have to move. So he wanted to shift his business from a service-related business to something that he could do anywhere in the world. All this adversity that he was facing, he viewed as opportunities. Right now, long story short, he's in a different region of the country, has set up 2 or 3 new online businesses, and has 2 or 3 other options on the go. And by the time he gets married in the next 4 or 5 months, he'll have established himself in a completely different region. And in a short period of time, he's taken all these challenges, turned them into opportunities, and he's thriving. Why is he thriving when other people his own age and his friends are actually struggling? What is the difference? If we consider the last few years, we know how devastating life's challenges can be. How have we prepared our children to be resilient and turn these challenges into opportunities? What opportunities do we see as educators that our students may not see for themselves? Are we simply preparing our learners to pass a test, or are we preparing them for life? For the past several decades, we have been exploring how to prepare our learners for life by equipping them with the capacity to deal with life's adversity and turn challenges into opportunities for growth and development. Let's unpack this further. How do we actually do this?
Let's begin with a definition: resiliency from the Center for Resiliency at Lamar University. The capacity of a complex system to adapt and maintain its function and support the well-being of the interdependent subsystems through adversity, which leads to a variety of other important resources we have found through the research what resiliency is. Resiliency is opportunity for good outcomes to come in spite of serious threats to adaptation or development. The American Psychological Association defines resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or even significant sources of stress. Most of us might think of resiliency as the ability to bend, but not break, perhaps bounce back, and maybe even grow in the face of adverse life experiences. We might call this the process of becoming.
I really appreciate the notion of the process of becoming as a key foundation for resiliency. And whenever we think of a process, there's a starting point or there's a fundamental presupposition or a why. Why does this work? And I think that fundamental presupposition that we like to use when we're working with our learners is to help them shift their mindset to a learner's mindset. We do that by helping our learners think about their thinking differently, think about their approach to learning, and help them to consider the impact of a learning environment and how to deal with the opportunities or challenges that can be turned into opportunities. In our formal instruction, we also model the learner's mindset by creating a significant learning environment where we give our learners choice, ownership, and voice through authentic learning opportunities. By modeling the ability to deal with challenges and turn them into opportunities, and by modeling the fact that we are all lifelong learners. And the key to resiliency and that process of becoming is to really focus on the learning and you're thinking about learning. This is our starting point, and this is also the process of becoming that we like to model.
With a learner's mindset and resiliency embedded into that classroom culture, educators can really transform the lives of their students. Further, teaching and modeling resiliency is beyond just memorization and calculation and regurgitation of facts and ideas and other traditional learning methods. It truly does require interaction and engagement with the learners to help them think about their learning environment, think about their approach to learning, and think about their thinking about learning, right? So referring back to resilience is the process of becoming, where students, children understand their place in the world and how can they best adapt to that place. When they believe they are worthy and capable of overcoming challenges, they become resilient. And how do we do that? How do we as educators transform this thinking in the classroom? Dr. Dweck on the growth mindset mentions a few things, and I'll share those with you. Students can control their thoughts, okay? They can ask themselves, what have I learned today? How have I failed, and what can I learn from that opportunity? Was I persistent today? Can I learn something from this? Why is this so important for our students? It helps them regulate their emotions, their behaviors. It helps them control their impulses a bit. And they can actually determine what's important for them. Who do I want to become? How do I best get there despite adversity and challenges? What do I believe? Am I opportunistic? How can I positively reinterpret ideas and concepts and things that come my way that could be a challenge, that could be difficult for me to engage with? How can I actively cope with things that come my way? Taking this a step further, we think about transitioning from a growth mindset to a learner's mindset, as we mentioned some of Dweck's work. We think about the intrinsic capacity to learn and change and grow and adapt and turn challenges into opportunities. We see the learner's mindset as a foundation for resiliency.
Despite the past several years, all the challenges that this region has faced, or that we've faced all over the world, there's never been a better time to be a learner. The opportunities that are around us are immense. And with the changes that we're all facing, we have the opportunity to change our future, to maybe create a new future, a better future. We want you to join us and help our learners develop that learner's mindset. Help them develop a process of community, of understanding, of growth and development that will enable them to not only be resilient learners, but to become leaders and to create a new future for all of us.